Divine marvels, children of God. It's late here. I'm chilling, lights are out, getting ready for bed. And I really wanted to share an experience I just had. So I hope you're okay with the casual nature of this video. So I got tempted. I got tempted tonight by a Neo-Advaita teacher. Sort of. I was doing a TikTok live talking about the path surrender, which in Vedic philosophy is considered a valid path, meaning fully entrusting oneself to limitless. Well, they say in the Vedic, Satchitananda, infinite, eternal consciousness, bliss, which can also have a specific form too. But regardless, surrendering yourself to the Vedic equivalent of God. Although, God, it's so different. I don't even like to use the G word when talking about Eastern philosophy. But regardless, and so I was talking about the process of entrusting and surrendering and cultivating absolute faith, not faith in terms of a dogma, but faith in terms of a trust. And this guy had some really cool comments, so I invited him to come up and talk, and it was just Neo-Advaita. Without Neo-Advaita, it was like Neo-Advaita energy, false non-duality of every thought's a lie, even practical thoughts. I'm like, well, what about changing a tire? He's like, yeah, that's true, but it's a lie, and you need to give up all your thoughts and concepts. And I have to tell you, I was feeling a little depressed before I started that live, and it was actually like tempting, like, oh, maybe maybe that'll work, maybe he's right. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like I thought that for a second or two, and I'm like, wait a minute. Um, and partially what saved me is like, wait, I've tried this, and remembering, what Ramana Maharshi and Adi Shankara taught about the need for prerequisites, because basically this guy was teaching a form of self-inquiry. But what really saved me is something a Buddhist friend of mine. She's a leader at a Buddhist monastery. She's not in a formally been initiated into a lineage, but she's in a leadership position at this monastery, and I have profound respect for her. And she once said, when we were just talking about Buddhism, she said, in the Buddha's analysis, the mind is the prison. You got to get outside the mind. And you need to use the mind to get outside the mind. And I think that's a beautiful explanation of the difference between Neo-Advaita and classical Advaita, or even Neo-Advaita and really any classical spiritual path. Neo-Advaita will say, abandon the mind. Fake non-duality would be like, abandon the mind. The mind is the problem. A traditional spiritual path, such as Buddhism, such as traditional Advaita Vedanta, will say, yes, the mind is the problem, but you need to use the mind to escape the mind, and it needs to be done skillfully. It's not just like, oh, I can think positive thoughts and then oh, that'll get me free of the mind. Like we're talking in terms of like liberation, right, and like a spiritual path. So but it's really interesting. I mean, those who know me and come to this channel, like you guys know, I am committed to like staying clear of Neo-Advaita. I literally consider it demonic. And like tonight, I was kind of in a low mood, and this guy was presenting it in a very, very different way than most Neo-Advaita teachers do it. In fact, he was using Christian language. It was very interesting. He was talking about the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And he's like, you need to let go of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is knowledge, and embrace the tree of life, which is wisdom, and which is beyond all concepts. And I was like, I, I guess I just wasn't expecting it, but I was also in a little bit of a low mood, and it almost snagged me for a moment. So it's not like you necessarily need to become a scholar to pursue traditional Advaita, though many do, and I believe there's benefit to that. but there's definitely mind training, and it's definitely like um, there is some paradigm that's needed. Another thing that's been coming to me lately is, in our Western mentality is like get get what we want now. Like we don't have a lot of patience, and that shows up in Neo-Advaita, like instant enlightenment. Like come to a few satsangs, meditate for a little bit of time, and you'll be enlightened. The It's kind of like this fast food non that can be the new word for it, fast food non-duality. But in traditional Advaita, it's just accepted as a process. Now that doesn't mean it's going to take forever or going to take 100 lifetimes, but there's not this like franticness. There's not this like, yes, there's devotion and commitment and earnest striving, but there's also this kind of thing of like, well, meeting, as I've said many times, meeting people where they are, and and helping them take the next step forward, versus this like, like um, enlightenment now kind of thing that you get with Neo-Advaita. So I think that's all I have to share now. Someone wrote, "Say, Chrissy, wake up." I when I do lives on my phone, sometimes you get um, Jay Mia says, "I don't like this." Well, my thought would be like, you came here and you stayed here. Like, if you don't like it, I mean, call me crazy, but maybe there's another place that you might like. Maybe this isn't like um, the only option. I mean, call me crazy, but yeah, when I do lives on my phone, it pulls in a different audience. It's very interesting. Um, in conclusion, I think what really struck me from this my interactions with this guy was, the thing is Neo-Advaita concepts and Neo-Advaita, you could say kind of like energy or vibe or approach, is just like spreading throughout the world, throughout the spiritual world. And like, who knows if this guy has ever even seen what those of us who come to this channel were aware of neo non-duality, what we think of as neo non-duality. He may have not seen anything like that. um, I don't know. But he was presenting it in a radically, radically different way than anything I'd ever seen, which is how it initially got by my radar. Um, and the other thing, well, I mean, I could just go on and on, but I think that's enough for now. Let's see. Uh, Jay Jania says, "I'm just kidding." What are you talking about, Jania? I am talking about, okay, short version. There's an ancient philosophy from India called non-duality, and some people, and it's a very intricate and sophisticated philosophy and spiritual practice. And some people who have taken like just a little bit of it, and now are like kind of like mass marketing it, and it's really causing harm to people. So oh, my sincere apologies if you Junya, Junya. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. If you give me a clue, I will be happy to do my best. So people who really haven't studied it take little bits and pieces of it and then teach it as if they're teaching it completely. It'd be like someone going and studying the alphabet and then only teaching people A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and being like, this is the whole alphabet. This is all you need. And then people aren't able to like form sentences properly or read properly. But they've got these people claiming that they are gurus, claiming that they're enlightened, um, really misleading people. Oh, Jania. Oh, that's a beautiful name, Jania. Wow. Yeah, my apologies. Of course, I didn't intentionally. Jania. Wow, it's very melodic. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for dropping by and sticking around. Okay, beautiful beings, thank you so much for dropping by. Jania, well, I'm doing the best I can. And I wish you, however your name is pronounced, I wish you well. And I'm sure the correct pronunciation is even more beautiful than what I just said. Take care. Blessings.